Throughout the history of the Naruto universe, we have had several legendary ninjas who were feared for their powers. Their abilities were so notorious that even after death, they were remembered by Kabuto Yakushi, who revived all of them in an effort to reuse their powers during the Fourth Ninja War. However, Kabuto ended up leaving out several other legendary ninjas and did not revive them. But what about you? Do you remember all the great ninjas that Kabuto did not revive in the Ninja War? Well, come with me. In today's video, I'll show you which are the strongest ninjas that were not revived by Edo Tensei. Edo Tensei is a forbidden jutsu created by Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage. After his death, only Orochimaru and Kabuto were able to learn this jutsu. To use Edo Tensei, it is necessary for the user to be in possession of two things: a sample of the incarnate's DNA so that he can bring his soul from the world of the dead, and also a living sacrifice, so that the soul of the reincarnate comes back through this living sacrifice. Well, speaking like this, it seems easy enough to bring anyone back from the world of the dead. However, there are several legendary ninjas that were not revived by Kabuto in the Fourth Great Ninja War. So let's see what are the strongest ninjas that were not revived by Edo Tensei. Shimura Danzu. And to start our list with the right foot, we have Danzu, who without a doubt, is one of the most loved characters by fans. Despite being very strong, he ended up dying during his fight against Sasuke, where he killed himself so that Tobi wouldn't steal his jujutsu. Probably, Kabuto didn't revive Danzu, because as soon as he was killed, Obito took his corpse to Kamui. And for this reason, Kabuto could not find any sample of his DNA. But unfortunately, we don't know why Obito didn't give Danzu's body to Kabuto to revive. Danzu would be a great reinforcement for Akatsuki in the war, because with the several Sharingan he had, he would certainly do a lot of damage in the combat arena. Imagine how strong Danzu would be with Edo Tensei, immortality, and his many Sharingan. Jiraya. Moving on now to our beloved sage, who unfortunately did not appear as an Edo Tensei in the Ninja War. Jiraya was one of the strongest ninja in his time. However, at one point, he decided to go on a mission alone to defeat the Akatsuki leader who was in the Rain Village. There he met Pain, a being who proclaimed himself as a god, and who had possession of the Rinnegan, one of the most powerful jujutsu in the work. But unfortunately, after an epic fight, Jiraiya was caught by surprise by one of Pain's paths and ended up being impaled by several chakra receptors, and soon after, sank into the sea. And the reason why Jiraiya was not revived was explained by Kabuto himself. Because since the Sannin had sunk in the sea, he wouldn't be able to get samples of his DNA. Uchiha Shisui. But if there's one guy that I'm sure didn't revive because Kishimoto didn't want to, it was Shisui. Because Shisui was such a strong guy that I know that even Kishimoto wouldn't revive him because he would be too strong. Thanks to the unique power of his Manjikyu Sharingan, Shisui could use the Koto Amatsukami, which is one of the most powerful genjutsu in all of the works. So much so that Itachi was only able to get out of control of Edo Tensei because of Shisui's eye. For before his death, Itachi had programmed the Koto Amatsukami to cause any Uchiha who looked into Shisui's eye to be caught in a genjutsu that would force him to fight for the good of Konoha. Yeah guys, Shisui's genjutsu is so powerful that his Manjikyu was able to overcome even Edo Tensei's control. It was also mentioned by Kabuto that he only didn't revive Shisui because there was no way to find his body that had fallen into the river. Now imagine what Shisui could do during the Ninja War. Could he bring all the Edo Tensei to the Ninja Alliance side? Hatake Sakumo. Sakumo was one of the most powerful ninja in the world in his time, with it being mentioned that his power was as great as that of the three Sannin. However, at one point, Sakumo chose to go against the ninja rules to save his friends. And this decision caused him to fail in a mission of utmost importance for Konoha. The result of this was that all the inhabitants of Konoha began to judge Sakumo for this decision, and because of this, he took his own life because he couldn't take so much pressure anymore. It is hard to imagine why he was not revived, since his body was buried. However, I strongly believe that it was a matter of script, because do you remember that conversation that Kakashi had with him right after his death to Pain? So, I think Kishimoto didn't revive Sakumo due to the fact that he had already made his participation in the work, and that way it wouldn't be necessary to bring him back to life to see Kakashi again. Uchiha Izuna. Like his brother Madara, Izuna was one of the few Uchiha to have awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan. In his time, Izuna was able to rival Tobirama Senju himself for years. However, in one of his fights, Izuna was eventually killed by Tobirama, who was only able to kill the Uchiha because he was able to catch him by surprise with Hiraishin. It wasn't explained why Kabuto didn't revive Izuna, because Kabuto was able to revive even Madara. Well, it's probably a bit complicated to find a corpse that's more than 100 years old. Hoshigaki Kisame. During his battles, Kisame showed to be one of the most powerful members of Akatsuki. He was so strong that his water style could summon a tsunami even in the desert. Now imagine the damage this guy could do with unlimited chakra from Edo Tensei. Unlike Jiraya and Shisui, Kabuto didn't explain why he left him out of Edo Tensei, but there are two hypotheses that can explain why he didn't revive. The first is due to the fact that Kisame had died very close to the war starting. Therefore, Kabuto didn't even have time to go there to get his DNA. The second hypothesis is that Kabuto couldn't find Kisame's DNA. For in his death, Kisame was totally decorated by sharks, leaving no DNA sample. Uchiha Fugaku. Another powerful ninja who ended up going unnoticed by Kabuto was Fugaku, Itachi's father, who was eventually killed during the massacre of the Uchiha clan. Besides being the leader of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku was so powerful that he was even considered to be Hokage, even with Minato as a competitor. Other than that, he was one of the only ones capable of activating the Manjikyu Sharingan, which according to him, would be able to control even Kyuubi. Because his body was buried alongside the other Uchiha, Fugaku could have easily been found and revived by Kabuto. However, only Itachi was aware of his father's Manjikyu, so no one in the village knew that he had awakened this power. Therefore, Kabuto didn't know about it, and for this reason, it is very likely that he didn't revive Fugaku because he didn't know his true powers. Uzumaki Ashina. This was a very little explored guy, however, we know that he was very strong and feared in his time. Ashina was the leader of the Uzumaki, and together with Hashirama, made a partnership with Konoha that marked the whole history of the village. We don't know for sure his real level of power, but just by the fact that he was one of the leaders of the Uzumaki clan, we can be sure that he was super powerful. Uchiha Kagami. Kagami is a little-known Uchiha, however, he was one of the only ones who managed to escape the curse of the Uchiha hate. We saw very little about him throughout the anime, however, he was always remembered as a good person and an excellent ninja. So much so that at one point, Hiruzen compares Shisui to Kagami, only in response, Shisui says he couldn't even compare himself to him. Unfortunately, it is hard to imagine why Kabuto did not revive him. However, it is likely that because Kagami died many decades ago, it is difficult to find samples of his DNA. Third Kazekage. The third Kazekage was so strong that even the leaders of Sunigakure claimed that he was one of the most powerful Kages in all of history. With his Iron Sand Kekii Genkai, he was able to use his sand both defensively and offensively. Only at one point, he ended up being attacked by Sasori, and somehow, the puppet master managed to stop him. The third Kazekage was even revived by Orochimaru in a flashback to face Sasori. Except that for some reason, Kabuto simply forgot to revive him in the Ninja War. The third Kazekage would be of great help to Akatsuki. Really, Kabuto was a complete fool not to have revived these characters. But as incredible as it may seem, there is one person who is much more bad than Kabuto and all the villains. And that person is the one who has not yet subscribed to the channel. Well, the guy who has watched the channel's videos and still hasn't subscribed must be very lost. So if by any chance you are one of those lost ones, subscribe to the channel, because this way you will stay up to date with all the videos here on the channel. Is there any other legendary ninja that Kabuto didn't revive? Comment here below so I can make another video talking about this subject. Thank you very much for watching this, a big hug and see you next video.